Welcome to this week's episode of the Lonely Hearts Club with Michelle Garber. I'm your host, Michelle, and it's a pleasure to welcome you back. This week, I wanted to talk about emotions, and in particular about getting stuck in your emotions, because this happens to a lot of people, and you're not the only one that is feeling this way. You're not the only one that gets stuck in those emotions, unsure of how to process them or move forward from them. The emotion that a lot of people, and that probably you experience getting stuck in, is the emotion of anger or sadness. It's the emotions that I like to refer to as heavy because that's how they feel in the body. And what happens when we stay in these emotions is they sit within us because they are the product of a situation. They are the product of something happening. And I'm someone that always says every action has a reaction, and it's science. That's the natural process of things. There's an energy that becomes available or that becomes the result of a situation. And that energy is the emotion that you feel. It's the result of a lot of reactions and chemicals moving through the body. And when we don't allow ourselves to move through and release those emotions, they become stuck. In a sense, they just sit within us. They can cause a heaviness. They can cause us to just be stuck in that angry place, which then moves out into other areas of our lives. It doesn't feel good for us. And when we push those emotions down and ignore them, and we're kind of stuck in this state, it can actually cause more issues within the body, especially if you become stuck in an emotion for a very long period of time, because these heavier emotions are normally a result of the fight or flight response, which is the stress response, which releases the stress hormone into the body, which is not great for the body at all. There are a lot of health issues that can be caused from long periods of being in the stress response. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're focusing on getting stuck in that emotion and how do we move through it? Well, first of all, why do we become stuck there? What stops us from moving through an emotion when we feel it, especially one that is, let's just use anger, because it's normally the one that a lot of people get stuck in. And you've probably experienced that yourself. And this is taught, it's not so much that it's taught, but we're conditioned as children not to feel anger, We're not taught how to move through it. We're normally, as little girls, we're not supposed to be angry. We're just supposed to push that down. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Just ignore that situation or that thing that happened to make you feel anger, and just ignore that way that you're feeling. So firstly, we think that it's wrong that we're feeling that way, but then we're not taught how to express it and move through it. So we get stuck in it. And also, little boys are taught the same, right? They're not supposed to, if they get angry, they're not supposed to lash out. So from childhood, we're not taught to process these emotions. So what happens is we continue to ignore them and not learn how to process them. As we're adults, we can get stuck in them, stuck feeling this emotion. And it's a reaction to a situation, and you're allowed to have that reaction, right? Like every situation and experience that we go through has a reaction within the body, which is linked within a feeling that we've experienced previously. And it's sometimes we can move through these easily because they're more supposedly acceptable emotions. But when we're talking about anger, we can kind of get stuck in it. And then we're either pushing it down and ignoring it and holding it in the body. And then sometimes there's these explosions and eruptions of the anger that you're feeling. And then you start to worry about feeling the anger again, because what if it erupts again? So then you get stuck in this cycle of not allowing yourself to express and process that emotion. And then it sits within you. And then you also sit in this place stuck in the past, which is linked with the situation that made you feel anger in the first place. And so you can't move forward. And we can't change what's happened in the past, but because we can't move through some emotion that is linked to the past, we are stuck there in a way and we're unable to move forward. So learning how to process and work through these emotions is extremely important. And whilst it may be hard for you at the beginning to understand that it's okay, that's the first step. It's okay to feel that emotion, the emotion that you feel. It's okay to feel that way. Never discredit the way that you're feeling in response to a situation that has happened to you, because your feelings are valid. But the problem is when we're coming out of toxic situations, especially relationships, our feelings have been pushed aside, ignored, discredited, and not even acknowledged. So we can start to feel that what we're feeling is not valid, but it most definitely is. But coming back to learning how to move through that emotion, the first thing is not to fear it, to understand that it is okay, that what you're feeling is okay, and just allow it to move through the body. When we hold on to an emotion, it doesn't move through us. Most emotions will move through within 60 to 90 seconds. But if you hold on to it, it sits within your body and you're constantly thinking about that situation that has made you angry, which keeps you stuck in the past, like I've said. So how do we move through these emotions? The first biggest step is acknowledging and accepting all of your emotions and knowing that they are all valid. And then letting go of this idea that emotions are good or bad, because they're not. They're not either. An emotion is emotion, and it's a reaction to a situation that has happened. You have to be able to move through it and release it in a healthy way. But the way that you're feeling, it's not good or bad. I've mentioned this before, I think, where I refer to emotions as light and heavy because it's the way that they feel in the body. And people find that useful. But it's definitely something that we have to change our perspective of the emotions that we're feeling. They're not good or bad. It's just an emotion. And allow yourself to feel that emotion. We're not discrediting it. We're not saying you can't feel it. Feel it. But how do you let it go? I find that with anger, and this is something that I get my clients to do, is write it out. As if you're talking to the person, write it out. Get it all off your chest. How it made you feel, how you feel like there has been possibly an injustice, how possibly that you have felt disrespected, whatever you have felt about the situation that has made you angry. If you are stuck in it, get those emotions out of the body, and writing them down is a beautiful way to do that. Get it out, journal it. If you need to, expressing that rage, if it's really rage, in a healthy way is also super important to allow that, because it's a vibrational energy, right, that's sitting in your body. So allowing yourself to let that out. Doing this with a professional, I recommend. However, soft toys and throwing them at walls. So you're not breaking anything, but you are releasing that emotion that's within you, like that pent up energy. You're letting it out. Shaking is also another great way of moving stagnant energy and energy that has you stuck, and that is like a vibration that you can't move through, that you feel that if you verbalize it, you're going to explode. So shaking is a great way. Just think of it as, I always refer to it as, this is how animals respond. Watch your dog, if you have a dog. The next time it gets upset about something, or it's basically gone into that fight or flight mode. It's in that stress response, and it's barking, and if it's anything like my Miss Millie, the heckles go up along the back. But once the situation is finished, they shake it off. They shake out that energy. And that's what they're doing, that shaking off that adrenaline that's come through. So that is also a beautiful thing to do. If you don't feel like doing it in public, that's fine. Go to a space where you can do that and just really shake off that energy that you're feeling. Writing it down, like I said, is beautiful. And then you can read it out loud again that's another way of releasing that emotion by reading the letter out loud. We are not sending that letter, FYI. I highly recommend to my clients, and I do it myself, burning the letter, destroy it. And it's all a process that allows you to release the emotions that are happening with that situation and letting it go so that you can work through it. Now, there might be instances, those small instances, road rage, someone's cut you off. Yeah, call them a dickhead if you want to. Totally up to you. But don't get stuck in it. Don't feel the need to chase them down and tell them the injustice that they've done to you and disrespect, because it's not going to serve you in a positive way. It's just going to escalate the situation normally. That's an unhealthy way of doing it. Just allow yourself to go, oh, idiot. Oh, move on. Because we also have to think of these things. How is this going to impact me? 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 months, 5 years from now. Someone's cut you off in a car, probably not going to have that big an impact on your life. Other bigger circumstances that we can get stuck in the stress response, get stuck in anger, get stuck in sadness, they may have a longer term impact. But allowing yourself to release and process those emotions can be done in those beautiful ways of writing the letter, getting it out, sitting in a situation with a professional, talking to them about it, throwing soft playthings at a wall, trying not to break anything in that process. And that might seem like a funny thing to do, but it's a really good way of releasing that pent-up energy inside of you. Now, I can tell you that I have not always been one that's great at releasing my emotions, especially the ones of anger and sadness, because as a child I was taught, don't be upset. It's going to be okay. Don't be angry. It's okay. And so there was a process for me. And that's why I understand the importance of being able to express things in a healthy way so you're not holding on to them. It really impacted my health. It really impacted the way that I was moving through life, because I was still stuck with the emotion. A lot of mine was from situations in childhood, and there were situations in my marriage. And I held on to some of that anger for a good 5 to 6 years. I didn't even realize it because I didn't know how to process it. I just really pushed it down and ignored it. And it showed up in my health, in my relationships, how I interacted with people. I was constantly stressed. I was constantly worried. By allowing yourself to learn to look at your emotions in a different way, understand that they're just a reaction to a situation, that they're valid, and you're allowed to feel them, and you're allowed to let them go and move through them in a healthy way, is such a beautiful thing to allow you to move into the ideal life that you're looking for, because that is our ultimate goal. And when I talk about ideal life, your ideal life is not based solely on materialistic things. It's going to be a feeling that you feel, and that feeling is not going to be linked with stress, fear, worry, the fight or flight response, that that tension that's in your body. It's going to be the calm, the happiness, the joy. To be able to feel those things, you have to allow yourself to move away from and process the anger. And it's not so much that I don't feel angry anymore, that I don't feel sadness anymore, that I don't get frustrated. It's that I've learned how to move through these emotions. And it's super important on your healing journey. And it's super important if you're going to achieve the life that you're looking for. So I highly recommend that you go through the steps that I've talked through here. Changing your perspective of the emotions, understanding that it's not about them being good or bad. It is a reaction to a situation, that it's valid. When I say valid, it doesn't mean that it's valid for you to go knock someone out, right? Like, it's valid for you to feel that way, but then you have to learn how to process it in a healthy way. Processing it in a healthy way is allowing it to move through your body, feeling it. You know what? If you need to, in that process of releasing, cry if you need to, scream if you need to, shake it out, but allow the emotion to move through you. And don't try to stop that reaction that's coming from your body. Shake it out. If it's a really big thing, write it down, get it out. How did it make you feel? Was someone's behavior towards you? Was it disrespectful? Are there things that you wish you had said that you had been able to vocalize? Read that letter out loud. Don't send it, burn it. And this is always to allow yourself to process the situation that has caused this anger and frustration for you, but also process it and allow you to know that your thoughts around this are valid. Your feelings are always valid, and you're always allowed to feel them. And no feeling or emotion is good or bad. Remember, they're heavy or light. It's the way that they make you feel within your body. I hope this has helped you in becoming unstuck in those emotions that you feel, and those times when you feel like you're stuck. You've got some tips to help you work through that. If you do ever need any more support, you can reach out for coaching with me one-on-one. I am here for that. I'm here to support you. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Please share it with anyone that you think may benefit from it. Like, subscribe, connect with me on socials. I'm on Instagram, Michelle_Garbutt, and you'll find more tips there. You'll around everything relating to toxic relationships and moving into your ideal life and how to partner yourself. And stay in contact. Tag me in posts if you feel that you're starting to use these things in advance in your life. I want to hear about it. I want to share in your victories. Thank you so, so much for taking the time to listen to my podcast, and I'll connect with you again next week. Ciao.